I've been working with orchestra since 2005, actually until, if I remember rightly, 13 or 12, something like that. Just before, this opening night. And fortunately, I was lucky to be here for opening night, and we play Szymanowski Fourth Symphony. Actually, I've been here, when this whole idea was going on, and this concert hall was built up. And of course, the musical life, not only for orchestra and Leopoldinum and the Baroque orchestra and choruses changed. Actually, for people, in Wrocław, because this is like a heart, like a center, of the not only music but sort of culture development. And now the schedule is so busy, for very young people. Several concerts, not only classical music, but every kind of music and arts. So I think, in my opinion, this is like a new era, in Wrocław, and let's say in Poland.
Yeah, so I have been here only once, 2015, and I have such pleasant memories from that visit. I played the Sibelius Violin Concerto, which is, of course, the crown jewel of the violin concertos from Finland, and now I get to play a crown jewel of the violin concertos of the Polish repertoire, so I'm very lucky. And I agree completely what the maestro is saying, that a concert hall such as this is a spectacular space architecturally, and also as a hall, it's one of the best halls anywhere. It really is. And I have seen also in my hometown, that is Lahti, there the symphony that was making recordings, and they were getting known as a Sibelius Orchestra and so on, they got a new concert hall at one point after a huge fight in the city. I think they managed to get the hall with one vote in the city council, and it proved to be a tremendous success. And incidentally, it is designed by the same acoustic firm, Artek, which here in Wrocław. And so that was such a catapult for the orchestra and their success and development. And this, I think it's happening everywhere where the orchestra actually gets a great home like this. They bring new public, and it creates such a momentum also for the orchestra.
It's like a window,
Yes.
for the world, and the people start thinking differently, not just as a local orchestra, as an orchestra, like a big, European family, which is completely different sort of picture, different focus, for a culture. And I was working with orchestra from the beginning, from 2005, very hard, and of course this people was very ambitious, and there was not only hard work but great pleasure, like a family. And now every time when I am coming to the orchestra, it's like back to visit a family. and making music. And as you says, this concert hall, it's a pleasure to play. It's beautifully acoustically speaking, but also visually. Architecture, it's tremendous.
Yes, and how it fits in the city, like it's like it was always supposed to be in this location.
Exactly. In the right place.
So one can only congratulate
Absolutely.
or the orchestra and the city.
Yes, I know actually the beginning of my career when I was student in Academy of Music in Warsaw. He was very often conducting the National Philharmonic, and actually my first job was I was as a conductor assistant in the National Opera Theatre in Warsaw, and that was Polish premiere of Penderecki of The Devils, and there's supposed to be Andrzej Markowski doing the opening, but actually he resigned, he walked out of opera. And but then I met him, and there was absolutely wonderful man with very special and tremendously funny sense of humor. And then actually I started my career because of him. He's supposed to make recording with the Polish National Radio Orchestra in Katowice. He fell ill, so I stepped in as a short notice. And then very soon I became the principal conductor and music director of the orchestra. That was not very lucky for him, but very lucky for me. And then we met very often, you know, in Warsaw and several places. He always likes particularly Szymanowski, but French music. So before this concert, I've been asked for the French program, so I like French music as well. So I put in the program Szymanowski, Debussy, and Ravel, which means three his favorite composers.
This is very interesting, actually, that he's saying that, because then at the end he writes a concerto where the violin is shimmering and just singing and soaring, and actually he uses the best elements of the violin. So I think he did incredibly well. I don't know if it's something new in that sense, because the violin has been allowed to sing before, but I think what is new and different and unique about this concerto is the range of emotion and the personal emotion that he puts into this piece. Somehow it feels so personal. It feels like you are in somebody's head and playing this music and exploring somebody's most inner feelings that are loaded with something, yearning and something so special. And he used the violin in a tremendous way, I have to say. And of course, he probably had a lot of assistance also from Paul Kochanski. Yes, who was an incredible violinist. And so the concerto actually, even if it's highly virtuosic and the violin is singing so high, maybe higher than before at that point, but it's all written really for the violin and not against the violin in any way. So he is finding new ranges about the violin.
Yes, and in my opinion, Szymanowski developed his own language, musical language,
Right.
and he's sort of very personal, as you said. He was very emotional, but in the same time very introvert person, not extrovert, but full of fire,
Yes.
and everything was keeping inside. Of course, he wasn't very lucky like many composers, because the time, this period of time when Prokofiev introduced the neoclassical music, actually emotionless, something very intellectual, not very emotional. So this music for people who likes romanticism, like Neo Brahms, and Tchaikovsky whatsoever. So in one hand, Szymanowski was a very romantic person, but his language was very difficult in this time to understand. So the people who likes very much romanticism can't understand his language, but for the neoclassical clan, he was, too much romantic. And so that took very long time, to discover. Maybe except the violin concertos, because the first, especially first one, second also, but more often the first was playing, and always not maybe really rightly put on the impressionist music. Well, in one hand, when you just looking from outside, yes, there is some impressionist picture, but just inside the harmony, the sense of harmony and sense of instrumentation, it's completely different. It's maybe because he was studying in Berlin, and there was big influence from Richard Strauss and Wagner as well. So his first composition, like Second Symphony, there was, or Concert Overture, there was like Don Juan by Strauss, the same sort of language, the same expression. But then suddenly he changed for his very personal. And the first violin concerto, it's like a pound down to King Roger, which whole opera have the same atmosphere, like a first violin concerto, and a lot of emotion going, especially inside the head. And inside him, it's like, keeping volcano before eruptions, sort of. And a lot of, even I say, like sexy music.
It's very hot.
Much,
it's very hot. Very exotic and kind of nocturnal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he always very often take for Far East, Middle East, philosophy, and this sort of region. And then we have a lot of Oriental, things coming.
References.
Yeah, absolutely.
And what's maybe new at this era, that the orchestra is huge.
Huge.
It's absolutely huge. and then to have a soloist kind of against this huge machinery is something that was probably not in this extent written before. But the way he has written everything, and we were talking about this in the rehearsal today, the master was asking that even if there's a lot of people playing, but that the dynamic should always stay very soft but loaded with expression. And then when the orchestra tutis are coming, it's it's like the skies are opening, because
Absolutely.
each orchestra tutti it's bigger than the previous one. It's just like opening more and more, and then the whole thing just says goodbye in a very, very,
Yes.
very.
And
sensitive
there's always problem during Szymanowski because of the dynamics. He was very precise, with the dynamic. The huge orchestra, but he spent a lot of time precisely ask for the particular dynamic every single instrument. And of course, like Kochalinski always asked Szymanowski, why are you doing such a huge orchestra? What about the violin? It's not like a trombone, So there will be always huge problem. And he says, no, if you have, really take care about everything, this whole palette will be absolutely tremendous and in right balance.
It takes great discipline.
Absolutely. I must say, always you remind me, such a time. But I never been from the beginning counting my concerts and thinking about sort of anniversary. I was always surprised by my colleagues, celebrate, the 10, 20 years, 100, 200, whatever, And then suddenly you remind me there was a long time. But always, the concert, like today, tomorrow we have a concert. And this concert is the most important concert in my life. Also, I never, ever did how many times I did violin concerto. Even I play violin, so I play as a student this concerto as well. Debussy or Ravel. But it's always I treat it, and I prepare myself for the concert like first time. And to have really fun, and I always dreaming, next season to doing Mahler 9, or Mahler 3, and that will be absolutely fantastic concert. So actually, I don't say 100% I'm not looking, from a past, but past, okay, yes, there was so many concerts, and I remember my first opera debut in Warsaw. But like Karajan competition, fantastic, and especially to meet Karajan and spend with him 2 weeks, that was great. But no, that's what I said. It's always like a journey, and looking for the next fantastic, music and composer. And well, I also I never feel there will be my Mahler or my Szymanowski, whatever. I always want to, understand what the composer, not only musically, but as a person wants to put to by the notes, and to tell us, what he wants to tell us, about it. Fantastic. You said something which scared me to death, but that's my definition, to doing concerts. Not much, turn my head back, I'm very optimistic person, so my head is more, forward than back,